Right, welcome to the channel. My name's Eamon. Today we're going to talk about Harley Davidson motorbikes. All right, check out the way this sounds. Welcome to the YouTube channel. My name's Eamon. Today we're going to talk about the 9 essential modifications you need to make to your Harley Davidson motorcycle to get the best out of it. Now, you don't need to make them. This is just what I do. This is my 7th Harley Davidson, starting with a Fat Boy in the early 90s and the Evo engine, all the way through to many twin cams and a couple of M8s, ending with this beautiful M8 114 Street Glide Special, which I've had for about a year now, and this is what I've done to it. So the first modification I always do to a Harley is the seat, and the reason I do that is because I'm 6'4" and most motorbikes are a little bit cramped for me. So I've purchased this Lepera Outcast GT, I think it is, Daddy Longlegs, which pushes me 2 inches back, and that seems to be enough to make this a comfortable ride. Normally I would dabble and mess around with moving floorboards forward and extending shifter pegs, but on this particular bike it seems to be fine just moving the seat back. Now the Lepera Outcast is a low profile seat. It's supposed to be a solo seat. It's a lot narrower than the standard Harley seat, but it's got a little taper at the back. You can put a passenger on that. I put a sissy bar on and my wife jumps on the back, no problem, for about half an hour, maybe an hour, and that's about the extent of it. It's a reasonably comfortable seat. It's pretty firm compared to the stock seat. I've never had any type of extremely comfortable, luxurious road sofa type seat, so I can't really compare. I always go for the sleek, slimline looking seats. I can ride for 2 hours easily without stopping, and it's not a problem at all. I'm probably just tough. Right, modification number 2, I was fortunate enough to not have to spend any money for this, and that's tyres. The standard Dunlop tyres that Harleys come with are okay, they're adequate. It's a touring bike. A lot of people are just going to ride along the freeways, and a lot of people aren't going to need anything better than that. I like to have confidence when I'm going around bends as fast as these things will go. So I was fortunate enough to get Metzler Cruise Techs on this. Apparently they have a hard compound down the centre and soft compound on the edges. So I've found them to be more than excellent, no problem at all around corners, no problem in the wet. I will definitely get another set of these once these are worn out. They've lasted about 10,000-12,000 Ks now, no problem at all. Should get a fair few thousand more out of them. Now the third mod you might want to make is the headlight. So the standard halogen headlight that comes with these is pretty average. If you're riding up and down the freeway that's lit up, urban areas, it's not really a problem. A lot of people don't ride at night anyway. But as soon as you leave the lit up areas, you really need something better. So I replaced it with a Hoglights 80-watt LED. It's pretty good. Have a look at my install video because it's a very complicated install, and you can see the before and after shots. It's literally night and day difference. Which brings me to everyone's favourite modification, and that's slip-ons. You've got to put slip-ons on your Harley Davidsons. That's slip-on mufflers. If you don't, your Harley will sound like a sewing machine, and nobody wants that. We all want to make it sound really good. It is a V-twin engine after all, so it has the potential to sound fantastic. Once again, already installed when I purchased this bike. I bought it almost brand new from Interstate, and Reinhardt Racing slip-ons, 4-inch slip-ons were already attached. I've used them before on a different bike. I like the way they sound, no problem at all. So I've just left that untouched and highly recommend them. And of course, you've got to get some sort of slip-on. All right, check out the way this sounds. Right, you probably can't hear it that well from here. I'll put the mic near the pipes and let's see if we can get a better idea of the sound. 5. Number 5 is the high flow air cleaner. Now, I believe, I'm not sure, so put it in the comments if you know, but I believe that newer Harleys come with a high flow air filter already done. So really, I've just done this for looks, for vanity, because I like my bike looking as good as I can make it. So I've purchased an S&S, what is it? It's an S&S, it's an S&S teardrop, but it's a Stealth Stinger, I think. It's a mini teardrop, so it's a little bit smaller than the old-fashioned standard one. Looks good in my opinion. I have debated from time to time whether to get the standard size teardrop air cleaner. It might sort of suit the bike better. Have a look at the picture that I put up and let me know what you think. Is it too small? Should I go back to the standard teardrop size, or do you think it's adequate? Now, slip-ons and a high flow air cleaner, really, I think people call that stage 1. So that would be, that brings your Harley alive, let's just say, because it is very restricted with a lesser airflow. Modification number 6, and that is a cam, and that's one of my favourite bang for buck modifications, which I've done on most of my bikes, all of my bikes, all of my Harleys. And the cam I've used is an S&S 475C. And the reason I've used that particular cam is when I purchased this bike, I looked around to see the reviews. This got great reviews for performance and it got great reviews for sound. So I was fortunate enough to purchase this used from an interstate dealer around about the time the government poisoning program started. So everybody was, there weren't supply issues at the time. Everybody was in a bit of a mild panic. Nobody was buying anything. And I think I got a reasonable deal, as good a deal as you can get when you purchase a Harley from a dealer, and that included the shipping and putting in the cam. So of course when they do the cam, they tune it. You need to tune it, and you're going to get a lot better performance out of your Harley. Now what's interesting with these M8 engines is you can get pretty good performance with just a cam, whereas before with the twin cams, and won't even talk about the Evos, before with the twin cams you had to do a lot more work to get even just 100 foot-pounds of torque out of them. But we'll get to the torque figures at the end of the video, because there are other modifications that I've made. So modification number 7 are the header pipes. When you're purchasing a Harley, they're giving you, I think it's due to EPA compliance, you've got an exhaust system that has a catalytic converter, which creates both heat and a performance issue. So I've purchased some headers from a company in America called Fuel Moto. I think they are called Jackpot 2-1-2 stainless steel headers. The idea here is to get better performance, better sound, and a cooler running bike for 2 reasons. one, because it's stainless steel, so they are retaining the heat better, and 2, because without the catalytic converter, your engine is going to run a lot cooler. I haven't got side-by-side comparisons, but I've had no heat issues with this, even in the middle of summer. So that brings me to number 8. Now, when riding this bike, after the tune, I sort of thought to myself, look, it could do with a little bit more power and it could do with a little bit more low-end torque. So once again, the internet's a beautiful thing for seeing what other people have done. And I purchased some Fuel Moto tunable inserts, and I think they're just tunable because there's a little flap that you can move inside them. You put them like a baffle, or maybe they are a baffle. You put them into your slip-ons or screw them into your slip-ons, give the bike a tune, and they give you better low-end torque, and it seemed to work. But of course you've got to do that in a combination of all of your modifications, which brings me to the last modification, number 9, which is a tuner. What I did was I purchased a Power Vision tuner, and there was a few reasons why I did that. because the bike already had a tuner, but not something that you could, I can't remember the brand, but not something that you could tinker with yourself. So with the Power Vision tuner, what you could do is you could, if you purchase it off Fuel Moto, what they do is they give you a map based on the specifications of your bike, and apparently, I don't know if this is 100% true, apparently it's a dyno tuned map based on them dyno tuning a bike that has the same specifications. And another reason I purchased from Fuel Moto was because for the life of that tuner, as you change your bike configuration or as you put extra parts on, they will help you adjust your tune or send you a new map. So the beauty of a Power Vision is not only can you apply the tune yourself, what you can do is you can put it into auto learn or auto tune learning mode, some sort of learning mode, and you can ride around and then it will adjust certain parameters based upon the way you ride, and then you can apply that to your existing tune to sort of tweak it and fine tune it. So the way this worked in my situation and the way that Fuel Moto have helped me, and I'm not getting paid by them either, the way they've helped me is I applied their tune, I auto-tuned a couple of times, the bike was running great, and then it threw up an error code, which was, and you can read the error codes on the Power Vision, which was rear cylinder running too rich. So I sent a data log of what occurred to Fuel Moto. They adjusted the tune, and I applied that tune, and everything was fine. And then, of course, I auto-tuned it a few more times and in learning mode, and then the bike runs beautifully now. So very happy with it. Sensational bike. I think looking at other, I haven't put this on a dyno, but I think looking at other people's almost identical builds with this cam and exhausts and that, I'm getting about 130 foot-pounds of torque, which is sensational because I haven't really spent a lot of money. So I've got a lot of bang for my buck to get it to that level. And that is, to me, that's a good amount of power for the street, and very happy with it. Highly recommend the bike. Beautiful, sensational bike. There's also a couple of modifications that I've been thinking about. So I haven't done the suspension on this bike. Every other Harley I've had, I've always done the suspension because for some reason, it could be my weight, I'm 108 kilos. It could be the actual quality of the Harley suspension. It's not that great. It's fine if you're on a smooth road, but as soon as you hit a good bump, you feel it. Now this particular bike, I've cranked the suspension right up to almost the hardest setting. If I look in the manual, it's for 2 heavy people and a whole pile of luggage, and that seems to be fine for me. So it's pretty firm suspension. Can you get better? Yes, of course. It really just depends on how much money you want to spend. So far it's been fine, and I'll see how I go in the future. And the other modification are handlebars. I have toyed with getting higher handlebars. I don't really want to have my hands up above the fairing because this is fantastic in winter. It's quite warm to ride with your hands behind the fairing. So thinking about it, if I can find another street glide that actually has what I want and I can sit on it and try it, I might change the handlebars. Otherwise, I'm fine for now. And I see a lot of people saying it's a lot more comfortable with higher bars. I find you can ride a lot more precise and a lot faster when the bars are lower, and I sort of like that leaning forward position. Let me know what sort of bike you've got, and let me know what sort of modifications are important to you and what you've done just for fun. In particular, if you've got a Street Glide Special, let me know what you've done and how you found it. There'll probably be some minor cosmetic changes in the future when I get around to it. But that's about it. So if you liked the video today, or if you didn't like the video and you thought I was a knob, just hit one of the buttons, thumbs up or, death to Eamon. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you're notified when a new video pops up. And I will see you on the next video. See you next time.